Thank you everyone for attending today. Just want to introduce you to everyone here. My name is Robin Petty, and I am the Director of Strategic Accounts for MJ Freeway in Pennsylvania. Today presenting, we'll have Seth Dewberry, our product owner. He'll be walking through all of the steps for the new MMAP API solution with MJ Freeway. During the presentation, if you have any questions or comments, you can go to the questions section on the bottom right and drop a question there. We'll answer it by text if we're able to, but we'll also read all of them for the broader audience so that everybody can hear the questions and the answer toward the end of the presentation. At the end of the presentation, I'll have some slides up to show you contacts you can reach out to our team members at if you have any questions or comments. And just to reconfirm, we will be sending a recording of this presentation out to everyone in attendance, and there will be a link to the knowledge base article covering all of these workflows in the news item section of the in-app widget. And of course, you'll be able to reach out to our support team at any time if you need clarifications. Thanks for attending today. Seth, if you'd like to take over and run through the workflows, that would be great.
Okay, as Robin mentioned, we're going to look at the MMAP updates. Updates from the fact that it was dual entry and now it's not dual entry. Meaning, you were logging into the MMAP port or to the Prime portal and putting in the redemption, and then also then coming back to MJ and putting it in. It's all through the API. It's all automated through the API now. And so what we have here is a case of an order that has an item on it and has not yet been fulfilled. All right. So this order has come in from online or whatever, and it's sitting here. And it's not fulfilled. Now, what you'll notice, if this person is enrolled in MMAP, then this MMAP button down here will show up. But it'll show up grayed out for a very specific reason. Because if, let's say this is a $5 order and the person has 100 MMAP points, 100 MMAP dollars, then once I click this button, that completes the order, right? So the reason is, if the order can be completed in full with the MMAP payment, then it is, right? You can't decide to only use 2 MMAP dollars of your 100 on a $5 order. So what's happening here is, and of course you can't complete an order before fulfilling it. So the workflow here, just as it always is, point and click or scanning and adding items to the order. And once we have it fulfilled and qualifying for payment, then it's the MMAP button here, and that will then complete our order through MMAP. Okay, and that completed the order. Now, you can always go to a completed orders report to see if this is completed. What we can also do, if you have access to the API transactions, you can also see in here all the transactions that happened. Now, I did a few of these to show us some examples of things that will happen, and then we'll look at one more sale. So we can see in here, these are all green, but we can also see that this has failed. I did this one earlier. This failed because our other MMAP patient is expired, so to speak, right? Their MMAP stuff ran out. And so I got an error message on the UI, but also now in the logs, filled after coverage terminated. So their MMAP coverage terminated, which means they can't fulfill. But the button didn't go away because they're still enrolled in the MMAP program, and we might still need to do a refund from a time when this wasn't expired. So long and short, all the logs are here. We can see the logs successful for the sale that we just did. And it shows what it's sending over. Here's the send, here's the response call. And one thing I'd like to note here is that we do see in the response amount remaining, but we don't see that for refund orders. But this is a follow-up effort. So on the point of sale, after the sale gets done, there will be, and this is on the next release, there will be an indicator saying, this is how many points remain for this patient. And that number of points will also print on the receipt. So, or number of dollars, I keep saying points, it's not points, MMAP dollars. So this receipt will show, the UI of the point of sale and the receipt will both show the remaining MMAP dollars so that the patient has visibility into that as they complete the transaction and walk out. Now, one thing that we can do here, of course, is a refund. And so the refund looks like it usually does. So you'll come to the order, you'll search the patient, find that patient, view order history, and then we have this completed order here, and we can see that it was an MMAP payment order, so we can confirm that it was MMAP dollars. Of course, the restock does nothing because that's inventory coming back in. The refund is what transacts the MMAP, and then we would also see an API call here for a refund call to happen. Complete refund. And now we have, well, that's all our transactions. We can go just to MMAP, and now we have one additional MMAP, and that's the refund that we just did. Now, there are some questions that we were talking about with the state that we wanted to make sure we covered. And so what we're going to do now, you saw the error message in the log of the other MMAP patient that I tried to check in earlier, and it gave me the error. I can at the end, if we want, if anybody wants, I can check that patient in here again, and we can see the red error pop up, but it is like all the other red errors. And now, and that would also be what happens if the MMAP is offline. So the question, you know, if I get a message saying MMAP is offline or the integration is down, then can the transaction proceed? The answer is yes, but not with MMAP dollars. So then, you know, you would just, the order would have to be paid in cash because there's, if no real-time communication to the Prime system, then it wouldn't be able to be sold with MMAP dollars. But that doesn't mean the sale can't go through without MMAP dollars if the person has the funds, of course. Now, I'm going to actually put on a whole bunch of stuff here. This will be like a $500 order. The reason being is because I want to max out the MMAP so that we can see how to remove MMAP dollars from an order. So for instance, if I fulfill this, I get good to go here. I have my MMAP button. Since this is $500 and nobody gets $500 of MMAP, then this means that this will only reduce the dollar amount of the order to some number, you know, above $510. So I hit MMAP here. Now we're going to see functionality like happens with the coupons and discounts and rewards, where we see it, that's the max, and we see it down here. And so if I were to X this out, then that will remove the MMAP payment from the order. So like, let's say now we want to pay in cash. Well, now we can go through and pay in cash. So we can remove an MMAP payment from an existing order and still continue with the order in a different payment method. Now, if you want to re-add MMAP, this order has to be restarted and redone. So if you add MMAP to an order, then remove MMAP, and then want to add it back, you have to restart the order. And there's never a case where you're adding 2 MMAP payments to an order. It's always this one shot across the bow, and then however many points we can max take off based on the dollars in the Prime system. Questions? That's the general run through, Robin, and now we can field some questions.
Sure, and we have some good ones here to start. I'm going to go ahead and field the first one. The first question is, when is this going to roll out to include Medicaid patients along with the current Medicare patients? So that's a good question, and I think it's worth discussing and letting everybody know that the way this solution works is MJ Freeway does not own the MMAP database or who qualifies for that or what discounts are contained in that database. This is a separate database that is managed by a different company that the Commonwealth has asked us to integrate with. So I will ask that question to the Commonwealth to see if I can get an answer. But essentially for the MJ Freeway integration, it is an API connection to a separate database, and who gets added to that database and what programs are included is the responsibility of the Commonwealth and another third party. So all this is the connection to it. And unfortunately, I can't answer that question because I don't have those details, but I am happy to ask the Commonwealth to see if I can find that out. And I'll pass that information along if I'm able to get it.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
Robin, this is the scenario of just in case anyone wants to see the error message, right? If you get an MMAP error, this is the patient that is expired. So we do that. We see that we're expired and we can still carry through to payment and pay with cash or some other payment type so we don't lose the order. So I figured I'd just throw that in there to show a failure.
And then we have a quick one for you, Seth. Two folks asked this question, so I assume it's a common one. Everybody just wants to verify that they heard correctly, that they can only apply full allotment of what is available in MMAP or none at all. There are no partial applications. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, and the way for a one slightly step deeper, the way this integration is working is we send over the order total to MMAP, period. That's all we do. So like on that $510 order, we just sent over to MMAP, hey, we got a $510 order here. And then MMAP says, here's the number of points. And that's it. And then they send back, of course, the remaining balance if we haven't used the remaining balance. But yeah, we have no control whatsoever of like even having the option of what to apply.
Yeah, that requirement to apply the full available balance up to the purchase price or none at all was a directive given to us when we created the implementation. So that was not an MJ Freeway decision. We were directed to do that. Another good one here. Are we able to view available balance without attempting a transaction?
No, not unless you still have the login to MMAP, which you might, but we had also made sure to talk to the state about if these logins for people remain, we need to turn off the ability to put in a manual sale ticket, so to speak, or a claim ticket, because we don't want any manual stuff going into MMAP now. That's a whole runabout long way of saying it, but yeah.
So in order to do that, you would have to log into the MMAP database in the old way.
That's right. And again, we're having a follow-up here on the next release. Right up here where I'm doing the little bullseye thing with my thing, this is where it'll say MMAP points remaining, and then it will also state on the receipt so they can take that away with them. That also lets us know if you need to see the MMAP points used on a previous order. Of course, you just go and search out that order, but you can also reprint that receipt if you need to get the patient, here's what your MMAP points were at the time of that sale that happened whenever ago.
Great. Okay, next question. This is a good and detailed one. In scenario of a refund for a split payment order, do you have to log into the log to see if it refunded the MMAP portion, or does it show that on the refund screen?
It shows it on the refund screen. If the refund screen doesn't fail, then it has done it. Because the refund screen is talking to the API just like the point of sale. So if it fails anything and doesn't get that MMAP thing through, we'll see a red box of why it failed. Otherwise, it happens right from there.
And then this is just a good clarification on the basic solution here. So to clarify, we will no longer need to log in on a separate system and submit a web claim on the MMAP site anymore, correct?
That is correct.
Yes, that is
100%. That's the effort. Yeah.
Yeah. So it should be much simpler for your bud tenders and any folks doing checkouts here. Are there any settings that need to be adjusted to get the MMAP balances to print?
No, there won't be. It'll just be if they're on so there won't be a permission to put on or no setting to, do I want to show MMAP balance? It's just assumed it's there. And if you don't want it, don't look at it kind of thing.
Yep, that's correct. Give me 1 second to read these questions here.
I can grab one. The documentation provided in the original email indicated that we would still need to use the MMAP portal for returns, just confirming this is not necessary. That is correct. The documentation had since been updated. So as Seth has gone over, returns will communicate through the API, just as the point of sale does.
Great. We've got another good question here. Will dispensaries still need to submit any kind of claims to be reimbursed for this like we currently do? Or will that now be automatic? There is no automation of the dispensary claims process. So you will still need to submit claims to the state, just as you are currently, and use your reporting to get that money back. All this does is connect to the database that tells us which patients are enrolled in MMAP and their balances to make it much easier to apply it at checkout. I will ask the state if there are any plans to automate that in the future. But as of now, we don't have any and not been instructed to.
Yeah, good question.
Mm-hmm.
Can't automate that part.
Yeah. If the MMAP amount is more than the total cost of the transaction, are those remaining MMAP dollars then rolled over to the next transaction?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the one where the transaction will complete automatically because it'll have, paid for the whole order with MMAP dollars and then have extra MMAP dollars left.
All right. And here's the final question that we currently have is on the refund process. If only a couple products are being refunded and coupons were used, will the MMAP refund adjust accordingly? And will we be able to see how much actual cash back they are to receive?
Yes. There's a pecking order, MMAP first, and then dollars, I believe. Oh, Miles or Robin, do you remember that we went through that? We might have to send a follow-up and step through that. Because like on the point of sale, if the MMAP payment is last, right? Unless you want to do it first and then complete the whole order. So like right at the point of sale, you could do like $10 of cash and then send the rest in. No, I'm sorry. The MMAP is first.
The MMAP
So
is first. Yes.
MMAP comes off first on the sale, and the MMAP gets restocked first on the refund.
But the system will then tell them how much cash to give back to the patient, correct?
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Sorry for that stuttering there. Yeah. I'll certainly confirm all that.
Okay, the next question is, since we do not have to log into the MMAP site, do we still need to create logins for our managers, or is that process eliminated as well? That question is not one we can answer at MJ Freeway. The only thing we have visibility of is how it works in our system. And as I mentioned, that's run by a separate entity. That would be a good question to direct to the compliance team at the Commonwealth. And ask them if that is still needed. I know they are working on and have sent out some communications on what the new expected workflows are. So I would check for those emails first to see if it's included in there. And then if not, I would follow up with them. All right. Also, we only have a couple of questions left. And as I work through these, I just want to remind everyone that you can submit those questions. Now is a good time to get them recorded. If you want them answered, we'll give a minute pause at the end. But I do want to let folks know we're getting near the end of the existing list. Question, will a recording of this be available? I missed the first few minutes with technical difficulties. Yes, absolutely. It may take us a day or two to get this edited. Our marketing team will edit it for user consumption, but we will send it out to everyone in attendance. We'll also likely get this up on a web URL somewhere that we can direct you to. But I also do want to remind everyone that there will be a knowledge base article and some additional instructions on the in-app widget. That's the little thing you can see in the bottom right there of Seth's screen where you submit support tickets. There's a section of that says news. And that's one a lot of people don't look at fairly often, but we do put some really good instructions and videos for recent updates there. It's an area of the app worth checking out if you haven't already. So there will be some stuff in the news section for you. We'll have a knowledge base article up with the rest of our knowledge base articles, and we will send that video recording to anyone that is in attendance. I may have missed this. When do we begin processing MMAP in this way versus how we have been? Great question. July 8th is the go live day. So on July 8th, you will walk in that morning and everything will be operating this way. We will make the change overnight during maintenance hours the previous night. So on the morning of July 8th, you will no longer have to log into that MMAP system during checkouts. Here's a question about MJ API transactions. It says I can only select Leaf under integrator. Will MMAP be listed there? Is there?
Yes. It will be. Yeah, once we toggle it on for everybody, that becomes a selectable thing under the integrator.
Okay. And then will only managers have the ability to complete MMAP payments? This will be available to all users, correct?
Yeah, Miles, we don't have a permission, do we?
That's my understanding. There is not a permission for this.
That's correct. It's anybody who can do a sale can also click the MMAP button.
That's right.
Yeah, that's correct.
All
Oh, wait,
right.
I'm in the wrong damn thing. Reporting wouldn't have it. Let me double check.
Can we search in MJ for a list of claims made by certain employees? So can you see who was driving the ship at the time discounts were applied, I guess is the question there. Seth.
In Domo reporting, you can, yes.
Yeah. In analytics, you'll be able to go into the transaction log there and see which user was logged in for transactions. Miles,
it'll be who completed the order, like completed. Yeah.
Miles, that might be a good snippet for us to add to the KB article. Let's take that under discussion afterwards.
Certainly.
Great question. All right. Well, with that, I appreciate everyone's time. Want to thank you for attending. Just a reminder, as we said, July 8th is the go live date for this. So in the morning when you walk in on July 8th, all MMAP transactions will work this way in the new simplified process. If you have any questions after this is over, I want to let you know you can reach out to me directly. My name is Robin Petty, and my email is robin.petty@mjfreeway.com. You can also reach out to our support team, and they'll be happy to direct any questions to me or the appropriate party. Thanks again for attending, and we'll get a recording out to everyone soon. Have a great day.